This is a team where the three main components, the head coach, the MVP, and his counterpart, never have won a finals. And
so
CP3
what are you saying?
So the hunger is just different on this team.
So what are you saying?
Not only for LeBron last year, but for most teams ever. This is a particularly historically hungry team, and that's the reason I thought they'd win the series.
Well, first of all, I still don't think they're going to win the series, but I'm happy to be wrong because I'd rather be in H-Town personally, even though I love the people in Oakland. But the big deal is this. Is that your way of saying that the point that I made about LeBron just now is absolutely correct? Because that's all it requires.
Not absolutely correct, but I think
it's not even close to correct.
No, you are highlighting the fact that there is a next level of hunger that this Rockets team had that was not only missing from the Cavs team last year, but from most teams ever.
You're highlighting nonsense. Let me make sure I understand the nonsense completely correctly. Let me make sure I got it. Are you telling me, Stephen A., that because the Rockets stepped up after getting crushed in Game 3, that they rebounded in Game 4, what you're telling me is that is an indictment of LeBron James and his desire to take on the Warriors? Just to be clear, is that the argument you just made?
My argument was last year in the NBA Finals, LeBron gave a concession speech at the end of the Eastern Conference Finals. That's a fact. What are you talking about?
Okay, I'm going to tell you why this makes no sense. Here's why. And by the way, I don't think I've ever been accused of being a LeBron defender or LeBron apologist.
I never said you were.
Hold on, but
so
I'm about to.
I never said you were.
I know, but I'm about to is the point because you've gone way over. LeBron, correct me if I'm wrong, hasn't LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers responded within the series to the Golden State Warriors, whether or not that be 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Last year was a 5-game series, and that'd be fair. But you're judging how LeBron felt going into a series on whether or not the Houston Rockets rebounded within a series. I have full belief.
You can appreciate this point.
Okay.
You can appreciate this point. You know that on this particular point, I have been consistent. I am not bringing something up today that I did not bring up last year when he spoke at the Eastern Conference Finals, coming into the NBA Finals. Max Kellerman, I'm the one that was on the record lamenting the NBA Finals, going off about how one-sided it was going to be, pointing all of these things out. My message has been clear for a year, and to me last night, that was the latest time that I looked at Houston and said, damn, there we go. This is a fight. I love this right now. This is special, which is what we didn't get in the finals last year.
Let me clean this up. Stephen A., I think you do have a point about LeBron last year, but if you want to make that a larger if you want to make that a larger LeBron point, Will, I think that's where the confusion is. If you want to make it a larger LeBron point, then I disagree because LeBron has shown, like, for example, in Game 7, the previous year on the road, what he could do against that Warriors team.
I'm only talking about last year's finals.
If you want to talk about last year, what I do think it highlights is not that LeBron didn't have the necessary hunger, whatever, that the Cavs were a typical team that would go up against the Warriors, but with more stars. And the difference is, so far, this Houston team is hungrier than most teams you will ever see.
You guys agree.
Because Harden, CP3, and D'Antoni need it.
I hear you two.
Fearless?
You're both agreeing. You're saying the Rockets want to take on the Warriors more than LeBron wants to take on the Warriors. That the Rockets aren't shrinking.
The finals.
No, they need to.
Finals.
Right,
hold on, Max. I'm saying, Will, just so we're clear. I'm not talking about now. I'm not talking about 2 years from now. I'm talking about the difference between the Rockets team that you saw last night and the Cleveland team you saw going into the finals against this same bunch. When we look at Houston, we see Harden, we see CP3, but you had LeBron and you had Kyrie. And so what I'm saying is, look at what you got from LeBron going into the finals, having to face that challenge, and look at what you got from the Rockets last night going into that challenge against these same Warriors. That is what I am saying.
And what I'm saying is the reason the Rockets deserve credit is not because they wanted it more. There's a difference between wanting it or thinking you want it and needing it. CP3, playing on 1 foot, it looked like for a lot of that game, needed it. He could not allow himself to lose. James Harden, the Cleveland Cavaliers thought they wanted it, but they had just won it. They had gotten a little fat. Compared to these Rockets, James Harden needed to come through in last night's game. They needed it.
I probably have an obsessive compulsive disorder, so I don't like leaving debates unfinished. So I'm going to go back to a string we left hanging real quick, guys. I've got a minute. Stephen A., you brought up fatigue. We just heard Draymond in the sound bring up fatigue. I have a little problem with this excuse of fatigue because isn't it that the Rockets played a ton of minutes as well last night? Didn't Harden and CP3 and PJ Tucker and Ariza all play more than 40? Didn't they play 7 guys?
First of all, host, if you're going to tell us we got a minute, don't spend the whole minute asking a question, number one. Number two, you should have a problem. You should have a problem with it if Draymond used it as an excuse, which he did not.
No, he did not. You did.
Right, exactly. So I am the one pointing out basically fatigue. As an athlete yourself, if you're on the court performing, you got to handle your business. I'm simply saying I noticed 45 minutes for him, I noticed 43 minutes for KD, and I noticed that they were spent. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I noticed it.
And the reason I say it comes down to hunger, guys, is because when you have two prize fighters in nowadays the 12th round, the last round of the fight, they both think they want it. But Evander Holyfield wants it more. He needs it a little more, and that's why he wins. And this Rockets team is the same sort of thing, like a hungry prize fighter who's never won a title, whose whole professional career is on the line. Ding, ding, it's the last round. They will answer the bell they did last night.
The only problem with Max's analogy, as usual, is that Evander Holyfield lost some of those fights.
But it's possible to lose.
But you don't want to use them as an example.
Right.
You said they win. They're hungry and they win. And then you brought up somebody that's lost a few of those.
It's not about being undefeated. It's about the times where your hunger was the difference. At least in Game 4, the Rockets' hunger was the difference. They were equally tired. One team was hungrier.
Exactly, Max. And that's, I guess, hunger leads you to being on the court just as much as the Warriors were.